nothing is going to work until it's completely moved out of the way and you can't see it.
Oh, perfect.
But it says CS part. What does that mean? CS. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. But it's part. Do you see the word part up here? So you just got to get out of the way. I have to tell you, back in the old days, and Dr. Ferneza, you may be too young for this, but when they used to be a big, before they made this happen, you'd start to turn the table up and you'd hit the tube and forget. So it's out of the way. And then to bring it across, there's a lock. You just squeeze it and pull it across. All the way up and all the way up. Here's that lead drape I was telling you about. Okay, and so you have to make sure. Now, once it's locked across the table, it is now over the fluoro tube underneath the table. Down here at the end, you can see.
I never noticed it.
There it is, right there. It's just like an X-ray tube, like this, and it's underneath the table. So if you want to look at it, feel free. I can't stand the table upright, which this table does turn. All the controls are right here. I won't turn it all the way up, but it will go. It's okay. I'm in control. I've done this before, once or twice. Okay, so this will go all the way up to 90 degrees. When we turn it back, it stops at horizontal. Release it, and then the head goes down. The head will only go down about 30 degrees. We don't send patients on their head. Okay, so and there's a little.
I'm sorry, one more thing before you continue. So what Miss Smith also did was she moved the table bucket all the way down to the end, and so you have that protective lining also. Because there's nothing worse than having the bucket still in there and the doctor steps on the pedal and he sees the bucket, they're gonna have a conniption. Yeah, because they're getting all that scatter radiation now.
Okay, so I will show you that.
Uh-huh.
So here we're just setting up. That's what happens when you have instructors. I do the same thing to him. When you put on the there you go. I think that's how you do it. When you're gonna stand the patient up. Got it on There we go. Okay, everybody. When you put the footboard on, when you slide it on, you want to make sure that it locks in, right? You don't want to stand it up and you have the patient scoot down and then you stand the whole thing up. You don't want it not to be locked in. So always give it a good hard tug to make sure it's locked in, okay? We also have shoulder harnesses for when we do tilt the patient head down, which we do in myelograms, which we'll study later. And they are two padded clamps, separate, and you lock them up here, and they hold the patient at the shoulder right here. So we do have devices that protect the patient from sliding off one way or the other, okay? So you pull this over, and then as Dr. Ferneza said, the last thing, or the other thing that, not the last, but the other thing that you want to do is this bucket slot cover that she was talking about. Okay. Now can you see how, and you can come over here if you want to, it collapses. It's a hinged piece of metal, and then
protective cover.
And so when you're fluoroing, it's not leaking out here because I'm standing up. What's right here? My gonads, right? So you want to absorb that. So now you've got your paneling. Remember me talking about the paneling down here? This is protected here. That's your under the table. That's what's so great about under the table with the fluoro tube under the table, right? You don't have all that. And then you've got this lead grate with the patient scatter. Okay? So a couple of things, as he was saying, this is the part I'd forget when setting up a room. I'd forget. And I had a radiologist come in and he goes, he came in and he stepped on the pedal. You can see that. This is the dead man switch. Down here's the foot pedal. There's a camera on one side to take a static x-ray, and then an eyeball for fluoro. So when I activate that, it gives me a live fluoro. Now, you see what I'm seeing? That is the Becky tray. What's the Becky tray made of? Metal. And when x-rays interact with metal, x-rays interact with anything, they scatter, but they also produce secondary radiation. And the higher the atomic, now it's not a big deal in the body, that secondary radiation is very, very weak. But when x-rays interact with metal, the secondary radiation produced, this is new radiation, is a lot stronger. And so I had a radiologist come in. I probably had done it one too many times. And he left. He turned around, he saw that, turned around and left, me and the patient. And I'm like, what's the big deal? Just, chill out, right? Just move it down. How long did that take? 2 seconds? Well, after he taught me my lesson, because I had to go find him, he hid from me because he was mad at me. So I've got my patient in the room. I finally found him. But not only was he getting scattered, right, because this wasn't in place, but he was getting secondary radiation from the Becky tray. So he had every right to be mad at me. I wasn't protecting him. Okay, that's my job. Our job is to protect patient, us, and anybody else in the room. So, important lesson to bring that down. Okay, so we have can everybody see this? Because this is what I want you to be able to see. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, there's the patient's name. And then I want you to notice the milligray, okay? That is measuring radiation in air, probably. It's not going to measure the patient dose because there's way too much. That's too much. It's either measuring it from the image receptor or in the air. So, and then it gives you how much time. Now, this is not what we're doing right now because obviously we haven't been in here 18 minutes, just a cumulative of what I've been doing. This down here is called a dead man switch. It's an electrical term for if you were to fall down dead, your foot would release and it would stop. I guess. I'm guessing at that one, dead man switch. Okay, so it frees the radiologist's hands up. Okay, so let me get on this. Okay, so there's buttons up here, and I want you to kind of come around to where you can see these buttons. Here are your buttons for normal, pediatric, and normal and hypersthenic. So you can boost this up. Remember we talked about boost or whatever. So it's like any automatic exposure control. You know how you can increase it or decrease it accordingly. So you can go to your pediatric patient all the way to your hypersthenic patient. So you have some control over that. There is this device right here, and that is the grid. And listen, when I push it again. So all that's happening is underneath here. Underneath here, oops, I'm trying to. Underneath, oops, oh, okay, well now it came off. Right up under here, you can't see it, but a grid will slide in and out. So usually we don't use a grid if we're doing pediatric patients. So that's when the radiologist may push that or not. The other one is a cone. I didn't break it up on this. Okay, you see, look under there. Sorry for this kind of awkward. You see the cone?
Okay.
Somebody Will you push the button and you can, okay, remember the compression cone for upper GI, small bowel? Yeah. And so that's just plastic. The radiologist can push this down onto the patient and apply some pressure and it spreads it out. So they may want to use that compression cone. It's very convenient, it's right there. You don't have to blow up anything or, you know. So that's the compression device. Oh, okay, so let's see. Okay, so we have the capability, just like on your computer, you know how you can flip a picture back and forth, upside down. And so over here on the monitor, let's see. Let's get this. Okay, there's my device, and if I do this, look over there, I'm pushing the button. I can switch it left to right, right to left, or I can switch it upside down, right side up. You see how I'm... So we had the capability of, if the patient was prone, such as it is right now, I cannot look at a patient with their left side on my left. So I would switch it to make sure that their right was on my left, like I'm used to looking at an x-ray. So anyway, that's up to the doctor, how they want to look at that monitor depending on what they're doing. So let's look at some mag modes. Let's look at magnification. Let's see. Okay. Oh wait, I'm pushing this. So there's a little joystick right here that allows you to move the table. I think you probably know that. The other one, the other joystick, is the collimation. Hang on, I eventually did it. So you can collimate, okay? And so we always like to see a little bit of collimation on our, oops, oh, wrong one. Huh? See, look, you see the problem with them? Because I'm not used to this. Oh, there it is. This isn't easy. Okay. Anyway, so we do have collimation. Now let's look at the mag mode. So this is normal mode. I have a 12, 9, and 6. Which mode is considered normal?
12.
12, that's right. So this is normal mode, so I want you to look at it. Notice the bone is black and the air is white. Now I'm going to go into the next mag mode. You have to, you can't do it while it's going. So now I'm going to push it into 9-inch. Okay, see how much larger it is? Okay, now I'm going to go into 6-inch. Okay, now let's go back to normal. So you saw it visually, right? Okay, so let's go back to normal. And I want you to look at the milligray on the upper left. Okay, what is that? 56, 57 milligray per minute. So that's the rate. I'm going to go to the 9-inch mode.
65.
65.
66.
I'm going to go to the 6-inch mode. 77-ish. 77, pretty steady there. Okay, so see, as you go into mag mode, the patient exposure goes up, okay? Now the reason, what happens is the screen is dimmer, right? Because not all the electrons are hitting that output phosphor because the image is larger, it's not hitting that 1-inch output phosphor. And so the machine kicks it up to make it bright again, right? We want it bright to see it. And so the machine kicks up the MA to give it more X-ray energy to make it brighter. Because you don't really see it. Let's go back to normal. Now just watch the screen. Just watch it, watch it, watch it. I'm going to go to the next one. Does it look any dimmer?
No.
No, right? That's because the machine's controlling it, the ABS. The ABS. Okay, so automatic brightness stabilizer. But in keeping it the same brightness, it's increasing the MA each time, which increases patient dose.